everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome. Welcome back to another Funko Pop update. I really hope that you're all doing well, especially with New York Comic Con looming in the wings. So, there has definitely been a lot going on in regards to Funko. And I know that a large chunk of it has been very, very negative. And for some strange reason, I think there's going to be another Funko discussion on my channel soon. But truthfully, even though there's been a lot of stuff to talk about on the business side of Funko, there's definitely a couple of things I'd like to see come to pass before I officially start getting some of those thoughts out to you guys. And I'm also pretty sure that Cammy and Gina are excited to join me once again to talk about all this stuff. But at the same time, there's been some very interesting and positive things happening. There's actually been some releases that have caught my eye and have actually surprised me. So I am happy to say that there's a couple of brand new Pop pre-orders that I have put together. There's just been some very cool things that I personally was hoping would happen, and then there have also been some pretty big surprises of things that I never thought was going to happen. But I'm really excited to talk about my collection update today, as well as some of the news, because even though there's been a lot of negative stuff, when it comes to the Pops themselves and the collecting themselves, I see a little bit more positive than negative. That's why I'm excited to share it with you today. So, before we get into the news, let's take a look at how my collection has been going. So, do you guys remember that certain movie that came out this summer that everybody was talking about, and mostly it was a negative series of discussions? Yeah, well, that didn't stop me from getting myself to see the movie. I didn't actually see it in theaters. I actually saw it when it was streaming on Max. And it wasn't going to stop me from collecting a couple more DCEU Pops, because personally, I just go all the way back to Zack Snyder and Man of Steel, and I did appreciate his vision and everything that he did, and bringing to life some of my favorite DC comic characters. But yeah, I was definitely going to at least get some more, and I did get a couple of Pops from the Flash line, except for the Flash himself. As a matter of fact, I am presenting you guys with an old Pop of mine. This is my Flash Pop from the Justice League, and that's the Justice League version, if you will. And the reason why is because I didn't want to give any support specifically to Ezra Miller. So that is one of the main reasons why I didn't go to see The Flash in theaters, because I saw a much better film, and it was also the reason why I wasn't going to get his Pop. And the truth of the matter is, when I take a look at what his costume looked like in the Flash film as opposed to the Justice League film, I liked him better in this outfit, so I am so glad that I decided to stick with this one, because I really do appreciate it. But along with some of the characters that are included in this set, if there was anyone I was going to support, I was going to support Michael Keaton. Even though I am not a fan of the Tim Burton Super Batman films. I'm a big Tim Burton fan, I just don't care for his vision of the Dark Knight. I appreciated Zack Snyder and even Christopher Nolan's a little bit more. And of course, Batman the Animated Series by Bruce Timm, but how could you blame me for that? But I still wanted to get a Michael Keaton Batman Pop, so this is actually something that I'm sort of proud of. I saw him in this movie, and I actually really love the details on the costume from the front and the back, and I do appreciate the pose that he is in, but, you know, even though I'm not a fan of the original film, I still feel it is cool to actually have this version of Batman from the DCEU in my collection. And I also wanted to get my hands on the Supergirl. I really do love the look of this character. I really love the costume, and I really appreciate the pose as well. I think it's very dynamic. And then there's the Nemesis, because I didn't really get that many of the villains. I think that's one of the few things that I was basically aiming for when it came to getting some of these DCEU Pops. I really wanted villains. That's why I was a little upset that we didn't get the villain from Shazam, meaning the first film, but there definitely should have been more representation. I mean, I would have loved a couple of little Easter eggs and whatnot, but I did get all the villains that I felt would be important, and I thought that this one was going to be too, and it was the Dark Flash, and oh boy, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not here to talk about the Flash film, but either way, I wanted to showcase these with a very important announcement. I think at this point in time, my DCEU collection is officially complete because everything, according to James Gunn, that is moving forward is not part of the old stuff, but it is rather the DCU. So, along with me not really having high hopes for the films, I honestly have no hopes for the Pop line. So, no, I'm not getting a Blue Beetle, and no, I will not be getting an Aquaman the Lost Kingdom Pop in my collection. I think I'm finished. And quite frankly, when I take a look at these, as well as some of the other DCEU Pops that I have, going all the way back to Man of Steel with General Zod, I will say I am very satisfied with what I currently have, and that is it. So let's get into the news. Well, one of the few things that I can definitely be certain of is that the whole concept of Funko focusing on quality and not quantity is definitely going to be showcased in this review today, because while there was some very interesting news, there really wasn't a ton of it. And there was definitely a little bit more interesting and somewhat positive than truly negative, but I want to go through the negative first. So this is it. It's a t-shirt packet of Bugs Bunny dressed up as Freddy Jones from Scooby-Doo. I don't get this line. I don't know why they're doing this Looney Tunes thing with them as other WB-owned properties. Like, they did it with Scooby-Doo, they were doing it with the Flintstones, and now apparently, I heard for New York Comic Con, they're doing it for Harry Potter. It just doesn't make sense to me, but hey, Funko fanatics and whatnot, this might be your cup of tea, but it ain't mine. And then I got a good glimpse of the Upper Deck Funko training cards. These definitely are a little bit reminiscent of what comic book trading card collecting used to be like in the 90s. It's definitely going to appeal to somebody, or maybe some people, I don't know. But I know that my card collecting days are way behind me, but I feel that if this was something that was happening when I was younger, I probably would have taken advantage of this, and I do like some of the variant cards that they do have. Definitely something that reminds me of good old days of collecting. And we got some really interesting stuff from Disney. We got a brand new Loungefly backpack and Mickey ears featuring Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. I think that that is fantastic. And a very cool movie moment of the ballroom dance between Belle and the Beast. And I love how there's a little Cogsworth and Lumiere on the piano. I think the one problem with that is Mrs. Potts and Chip really should be there too, because wasn't it Mrs. Potts that sang the song during this movie moment? I think so. Couple of Entertainment Earth exclusives, including a really cute Loungefly backpack, a very cool-looking Moana exclusive, and even though there is going to be a regular common, there is a Diamond Entertainment Earth exclusive of the one and only Dolly Parton. We also have a GameStop exclusive of the Ultimate Warrior, a Hall of Fame edition. I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing, and seeing some other truly legendary wrestlers featured with this little gold plaque type of thingy. And then, of course, there's also a Target exclusive, another comic book cover featuring Thor. I believe that makes 3 now. I think he now has as many comic covers as Spider-Man, but still less than Wolverine. And this is a cover of Avengers number 12. And of course, we had 2 new groups of NFTs. I was wrong. Apparently, the NFTs are still somewhat relevant, because there was a little bit of a freeze since the last one, which was Stranger Things, but then they really started cranking out some more. Now there is a set of Power Rangers the Movie 30th Anniversary Edition, as well as Steven Universe, and there was one that literally just dropped today as I was recording this video, but you'll see that in the next monthly update. There was also a very interesting thing that happened at the end of August. There was Funko Fun Fest out at their headquarters, and there were some really cool exclusives, including a really cool Freddy Funko. There was everything from a 3-liter of Oogie Boogie to one of those 25th Anniversary Edition Funko Pop re-releases of the original look, and that, of course, was Jack Skellington, as well as a really cool Appa Loungefly backpack from Avatar. Fans of Peaky Blinders, I didn't anticipate. There's that surprise I'm telling you about. I never watched this show, but apparently a lot of people do like this show, and now there's going to be a line, so I don't know if this is going to sell, but I do think the styles are pretty good. A new wave of Attack on Titan. I believe that this release was on a lot of people's wish list, especially those who collect this anime set, so there's going to be everything from store exclusives to chases and even a supersized pop. There's going to be more Disney 100 Celebration Pops. This time we're taking a look at some of the Disney Channel original programming, and some of these were, I didn't see coming. Some of them I did. Like, I kind of love the fact that they did make that Lizzie McGuire the way that they did, because if you're a Lizzie McGuire fan, you totally get it. I know my sister was a huge fan, but you get everything from that High School Musical, That's So Raven, and even a Xenon. I know all of this stuff thanks to my sister, so it is pretty cool to know that they're actually showing some tribute to the Disney Channel original movies and programming. Of course, speaking of Power Rangers the 30th anniversary, we have a brand new series of Funko Pops with keychains, as well as a PX Previews exclusive. We have a new wave of Star Wars Pops from the brand new series Ahsoka, which I am watching, don't have my thoughts today, but you can get commons, and you can even get an Amazon exclusive, as well as some Pocket Pops. Also gave us the Blue Beetle line. I know they do look pretty cool, but no, I am not going to be picking any of these up, but you can get everything from sodas to pops to some exclusives as well. But here's a line around comic books that I was really surprised by. I did not see this one coming. Way back in the day when Funko started their Pops, they made a King Leonidas Pop from the Zack Snyder film 300, which is one of my favorite comic book films. It is almost entirely accurate, page for page, to the graphic novel. So that specific Funko Pop is a real grail to many. So I definitely am sure that because there's now an official 300 line, that is not going to deter the value of the original Leonidas Pop, because that is truly one of a kind, in its own packaging, in its own special way. But you will be able to get your hands on a Leonidas with a helmet if you are looking for the chase, and I think that is sort of paying tribute to the original Grail Pop. But I am really excited because I am going to be getting the Amazon exclusive King Leonidas because it is a blood splatter. I have not gotten a blood splatter pop in ages, and there's also a whole bunch of other great characters from the film. I was considering getting Xerxes, but I just don't like the way it looks. It doesn't look dynamic enough. The Amazon exclusive Leonidas does look great, though, so I will be adding him to my collection. And then there was the Blockbuster Rewind, the product that nobody understands why it's here, and now people are wondering, is this going to be one of the things that Funko is going to be discontinuing based on the quality over quantity method? I don't know if it's going to be Rewind, because there's a lot of them coming. I know that we saw a couple of previews of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, but they finally gave us the glams of their official Commons line, and there's even some Funko Shop exclusives, and there's even more on the way that they haven't showcased. So maybe this is going to be a thing. I honestly don't know who's going to buy them. I will say that I've actually seen a couple in retail, and I will definitely say they are a lot smaller than I thought that they were going to be, but it's not something that I am going to be personally getting. But I would like to know if there ends up being a fan base for this line. Because, honestly, I really think it's about selling the box, because you get a little VHS cassette box, and some of these are reminiscent of the original VHS cassette tapes, but I don't know. Not my cup of tea, not getting it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below. Let me know what your thoughts are, regardless of anything positive or negative regarding Funko. I'm also excited for next month when we talk about the New York Comic-Con reveals. At this point in time, I personally don't think there's anything that I am going to be getting. But then again, interesting things have happened. Maybe there will be something that is not being leaked. Because that's, I think, one of the biggest problems right now. I think that with the social media of Funko really not being ahead of the game, there's just so many leaks and things that have just been coming out from so many other sources. But I personally want to wait until Funko reveals them, so I can be absolutely certain that what I'm sharing with you guys is the truth. But in the meantime, everybody, have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.